Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we are delighted that you have welcomed us into your home, and we wish you all a wonderful Labor Day. We certainly would love to hear from you, so you can send us an email with your question or your comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com and check us out on Facebook. Well, the theme for today's show is Labor Day, and a happy Labor Day to you and the dignity of human work. And I think as a nation, and certainly in 2022, we have lost the dignity of work and the value of work. You and I were both raised by hard-working parents. Our fathers especially were laborers, and they brought to us on a daily basis the dignity of work, where it made them appear like they loved going to work every single day, working as hard as they did, and providing and protecting for their families. And that work ethic has come deeply into our lives, into the lives of our children, to all my brothers and sisters. But that has to be modeled for us. And the church speaks loudly on the dignity of work. And we, as Catholic Christians, we should show up to work and we should give God our best every day.
That's right.
Whether you're clocking in from 9 to 5 or whatever it is you're doing, you show up and you give God your best. Because at the end of the day, you're doing what you're doing for the audience of one, just Jesus. And did you give him your best?
Give him your best, but also take a rest.
Yes.
So that's the Sabbath day. 6 days the Lord did his work. On the seventh day he rested, and that's for us to understand that we do need a rest. But 6 days are the days working, and we're working still, evidently. My father's working, we're working. So all those things go together. I hope you're having a great Labor Day. I hope you really are having the day off, and that you, with your family, with your friends, eating your special foods. And I can't even remember, we're down here so long in Alabama, what I was eating on Labor Day was probably some kind of pasta and meatballs and sausage. Down here, it's barbecued ribs, barbecued chicken, pork butt.
Everything barbecue. Knights of Columbus are selling pork butts all over the country.
We sometimes cook all of our stuff, but now we're buying it from the Knights of Columbus because they put the money to good use, and boy, you can't beat their cooking. So we just hope that you're enjoying yourself, and that it's a great, great day of rest, because that's part of the teaching of the church as well, and of our Lord. And so Deacon Keith Fournier is going to be with us in our next segment. He's just an amazing man, wonderful deacon from Tyler, Texas, there with Bishop Strickland, and we've known Deacon Keith Fournier for many years. He's a prolific writer, and just brings to the people the great teachings of the church and different documents and encyclicals. So we'll be speaking on the dignity of human work, especially as put forth by St. John Paul II on his Good News about Work. And so we could just reflect upon the place of work in the order of creation, God's plan for work. And one of the quotes that Deacon Keith pulls, I guess, from John Paul II's teaching is this. You were talking about being a model. It says, Jesus was a man of work, and that work enabled him to develop his humanity. And so if Jesus worked, and somehow he was growing and developing his humanity, so we're called to work because it's a part of the original created order. There's a fall that's taken place, so we work sometimes in the sweat of our brow, some difficulties, but work is a blessed thing. Work is a good thing. The dignity of all human work, and the dignity that we bring in whatever work it is that we're doing. So thanks for being with us this Labor Day. We'll be right back. There's plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. We're at home with Jim and Joy, and a happy Labor Day to you. And today, our guest is Deacon Keith Fournier. He is General Counsel, Theological Advisor. He is the Director of Deacon Formation in the beautiful Diocese of Tyler, Texas. He is the Dean of Catholic Identity, and he works at Bishop Gordon Catholic School. And Bishop Strickland is his bishop.
Yes,
and
he
so
is.
he comes from a great, vibrant, healthy diocese.
And Deacon Keith has been around for decades, both through media, through his extensive writing, different groups, organizations, missions, legal areas, and has been a great, great blessing to the church. I mean, he's really on the threshold all the time, the threshold between the sanctuary of the Lord, the truth of Jesus Christ, and then just right on that threshold of going out into the secular, out into the world, out into the city, and relating at the intersection of sanctity and the society, and being a bridge for the church, and articulates so beautifully, so soundly, the teaching of the church in a way that we can all understand. And I got my pen ready because I know he's going to be sharing with us. Deacon Keith Fournier, are you there?
I'm here. It's wonderful to be with you.
Oh,
Happy Labor Day.
Yes, happy Labor Day indeed. And that was part of the title of an essay I found of yours. You have essays like all over the place. And it was Happy Labor Day, the Dignity of All Human Work by Deacon Keith Fournier. So I read that through, just beautifully, beautifully done, reflecting on the theology of work. Where is it in the scriptures and in our theology? Teaching of John Paul II on this whole area, the incarnation, and so many areas that you hit on. Jesus and Joseph, men of work. So why don't you just go for it, brother? Just lay it out there for us, and why you wrote this essay, why it's important for us to hear it now during Labor Day, why we need to hear it at this age and time in our country and throughout the world.
Sure. You know, the Apostle Paul, when he wrote to the Romans, he said, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your minds." And we really need a renewal of our minds in how we view work, how we view labor. And the church has offered us such a treasure chest of teaching on the dignity of human work. Our first parents worked in the garden, so work is not a consequence of sin. Work is a part of our participating in God's ongoing work. We continue to work because the Lord made us that way. Jesus was a man of work. Now, probably, I think one of the most profound statements on human work in the treasury of the magisterial teaching is found in John Paul's letter, 1981, on human work. Laborum exercens. I always use the English. On the dignity of human work. Now, it flows out of John Paul's whole body of teaching on the dignity of the human person. Remember, he's probably the one who wrote paragraph 22 in Gaudium et Spes, the pastoral constitution on the church in the modern world. And he told us this, and I'm just going to read one line. By his incarnation, the Son of God has united himself in some fashion with every man. He worked with human hands. He thought with a human mind, acted by human choice, and loved with a human heart. We don't think about that. He was fully God, yes, but fully man, like us in all things except sin. We need to look to Jesus as the model of human work. Remember, he was taught by his adoptive father, Joseph, what? To work with wood. Now, the early fathers loved reflecting on that, because think about his redemptive act on the cross. He worked with wood. So he learned in the woodworker's shop of Nazareth from Joseph how to work and how to work hard. Christians are called to think differently about labor and realize that the dignity of human work comes from the human person doing it. We are human beings, not human doings, but we are human beings called to participate in the ongoing redemptive mission of Jesus. And so he wrote this beautiful encyclical letter on human work in 1981, and he talked about this. He said, man is made to be in the visible universe in image and likeness of God himself, and he is placed in it in order to subdue the earth. From the beginning, therefore, he's called to work. Work is one of the characteristics that distinguish man from the rest of creatures, whose activity for sustaining their lives cannot be called work. Only man is capable of work, and only man works, at the same time by work occupying his existence on earth. This work bears a particular mark of man and of humanity.
So you're saying, just let me, so you're saying that it's amazing, Jesus is God with skin, God made poor, and God with a face. So he worked. His adoptive father worked. He learned about, to some degree in his own humanity, what it means to be a human person through the human work, and in a sense, his cooperating with the Father in this work. You're saying that work is before the fall. That's really important, because I think there's a lot of us that think work is a product of the fall. Could you just take a moment there, because there is a relationship with what was work like before the fall, what is it after the fall? Just share about that some.
Sure. Well, what happened in the fall? Sin separated us. Sin separated us from God. Sin separated us from the beauty of the created order. We were in perfect harmony with the beauty of the created order before sin. Sin separated us internally, body, soul, and spirit. Sin separates, but grace liberates, and living faith integrates. So, when we have living faith, we begin to think differently about everything, including work. And Joy, in the beginning of your show, talked about doing it as unto the Lord. That's what the early Christians believed. Whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord. Offer it to the Lord. Join into his ongoing work. I mean, even the word liturgy means the work of public worship.
Yeah.
So we are always working. Now, the onerous nature of it is one of the sad byproducts of sin. But as we are walking in grace, as we are growing in Christian maturity, part of what needs to happen is the renewal of our minds. The early Christians thought differently about work. When you read the early Christian history, they were valued because they were such good workers. Mm-hmm. They were hard workers, just as you were talking about your parents. I mean, my father was a blue-collar worker, a former Navy guy. He was always working, so I had that example as well. But we've lost that here. We've lost it in the West in particular, because sadly, we've turned away from God. And when we turn back to God, we begin to once again recapture that meaning of work and the beauty and dignity of all human work, no matter what it is. Whatever it is, if you're doing it for the Lord and offering it up to him. Look at the Apostle Paul. He continued making tents, didn't he?
Yeah.
He continued to work. So we have got to change the way we are viewing things. And when we do that, I think we're going to be able to influence our culture just like the early Christians did. You know, there's a beautiful little book out. I don't know if you've read it, but it just came to my mind. It's called From Christendom to Apostolic Mission. Have you seen that book, Jim?
No, I don't recall it, so we'll look forward to reading it.
It's only about 92 pages long. And it's written by the president of the University of Mary, a wonderful Orthodox Catholic school. But he even leaves his name off of the front cover. It's not about him. And he talks about how the early Christians transformed their culture. And basically, here's what he says. Christendom as we knew it is over. Mm-hmm. We can either bemoan it, we can try to recapture it. He says, no, what we need to do is go back to the future. Once again, look at the first 4 centuries and develop an apostolic missionary mindset.
Yeah.
That's how the early believers turned the world upside down.
Yeah.
Were known as great workers, and they excelled in their professions. And as we do this, that'll help our evangelistic effort, because we're very much in a culture just like they were, that is hostile, turned away from God, given over to debauchery, and we're surrounded by darkness. But we're called to be that light, that leaven, and that salt. And one of the ways I think we can do that is on this Labor Day, let's read the Catechism. For example, just go to the glossary of the Catechism or the index and look up work and see what the church teaches about the nobility and the dignity of work. No matter what it is, if you're doing it as unto the Lord, you're honoring him and you're participating in his ongoing work. Jesus said the Father is at work still. So work is not a bad word. Work is a vehicle and a means for growing in holiness and participating in the ongoing mission of the Lord.
Deacon Keith, there's so much more to unpack, but your eloquence is just really, really wonderful. I remember some time back, maybe last time we were together here at EWTN, which has been too long. You made that point about Jim. You have to understand, Jim and Joy, and to the audience, this is a new missionary age. We in America need to think we're in a mission field.
And he said, we're in a post-Christian era.
And that's painful.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a mission field. I mean, we have such great heritage, our Judeo-Christian heritage, and it doesn't mean that it's totally evaporated, but it may even be the majority of people are thinking in a different way and are so secularized. So it does help to wake up and at least understand that we need to be about the missionary work of the Lord. Deacon Keith, we're going to have to break at this point. Thank you for your teaching through the theology that you've studied so much, and through John Paul II, The Dignity of All Human Work by Deacon Keith Fournier.
And you know what, Jim? One last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rather than look at it as post-Christian, look at it as pre-Christian and get to it.
I love it.
I like that.
That's positive. Deacon Keith, thank you for your years and years of service. God bless you, your wife, your family, your grandkids, and keep up your great work for the Lord. Thank you now.
So sweet. Well, and so knowledgeable. I mean, I do remember when he was on our show that time and we talked about, and he said, and we believe it, we see it on a daily basis with our clientele and people and humanity. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to keep their babies. Nobody. And really, the big thing is that we've taken God out of our country. We've taken God out of our personal lives. Some of our churches have become psychology centers instead of preaching gospel centers. And we're, psychoanalyzing everything as opposed to, no, this is sin and we have to change our ways and become alive again for Jesus.
Well, this is a part of the great work of EWTN and Mother Angelica being one of the great evangelists of the 20th and 21st century, that we're an evangelization center, and we teach that with the EWTN Media Missionaries and in almost everything that we do here at EWTN, that the deepest identity of the church is that she is evangelistic.
Yes.
This is what we're made for, to know Him, to be evangelized ourselves, to know the good news, and then to take the word out and to believe in the power of conversion, the power of the Holy Spirit to change people. And that's what we need at this time. So I like what he said this time. He was saying we're in a pre-Christian era. So that puts a positive thing on it.
It makes it more exciting.
If you can accept that it's kind of being ignored, the Christian faith, or people are falling away. Well, we need to think as evangelists, and we need to know what's coming for America, what's coming for the West, what's coming throughout the whole world. We're in this phase where we're becoming more and more pregnant with the Holy Spirit, pregnant with God, and it's going to come forth. That's positive.
That's positive, and we need a great awakening in the church and out of the church. Well, here's a comment from someone. It said, the book of Genesis gives us an important vision of the relationship of work versus rest and recreation in our lives. We see God accomplishing the work of creation in 6 days and then taking the seventh to rest, making it holy and set apart. Of course, God didn't literally mean to rest, but He chooses to do so in this account. And this becomes an important sign for us. And God shows us that we need to take regular time to rest from our labors, to focus on Him and our families and our loved ones. And this is Sarah in Oklahoma City.
That's very well said and stated. And again, we think about what Deacon Keith was sharing with us, that Jesus, through His work, is understanding humanity, but He did honor the Sabbath day. And He honored the feast days, and He would go to Jerusalem and stop and be there. He also said, because sometimes He did healings on the Sabbath,
right?
And so then they wanted to stone Him or judge Him for what He was doing, that the Sabbath was made for man.
Right.
It was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So even the Sabbath can be a bridge to do good, that you've got to do something or save somebody's life. You don't want to become that legalistic. But also, we've deviated so much as a people that we don't honor a Sabbath. Do we have a Sabbath? Do we rest? Do we stop? Or has this work become disproportionate to what God's teaching is on it, so that we've elevated work to the place that we deny rest and stillness. So let's continue to enjoy the Labor Day. And that whole Labor Day came about to give thanks for the creative power of laborers and their achievements and what they do, and to stop to give thanks for the dignity of work, and to be renewed that we might work again for the glory of God. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Well, before we wrap up today's show, as usual, we're going to go to Rome to check in with beautiful Joan Lewis. Now, Joan, what do you have to share on our topic today?
Well, greetings from Rome, Jim and Joy, and happy Labor Day to everyone. And I'm not sure how many people know that labor has actually been the focus of many, many papal documents. Without doubt, though, the seminal encyclical for the topic of labor was Pope Leo XIII's 1891 encyclical Rerum Novarum on New Things. And he discusses the relationship and duties between capital and labor, and also the government and citizens. Mainly this focused on bettering the working conditions for citizens. Now, Leo XIII supported the right of labor to form unions. He rejected socialism and unfettered capitalism. He reaffirmed the right to private property, and he introduced the concept of collective bargaining. So Rerum Novarum actually became, for all future popes, it became the foundational document for Catholic social teaching on this topic. In fact, it was Leo XIII who first wrote about and used the words Catholic social teaching, Catholic social doctrine. Now, many of the encyclicals written after this reflect his ideas. We have Pius XI, John the 23rd, Pope John Paul. He wrote 2 encyclicals on labor, and we have a document from Benedict XVI. And by the way, interestingly enough, Pope Leo reigned for 25 years and 1 month, dying in 1903. So, now, of the 2 encyclicals that he wrote, John Paul's Centesimus Annus, on the 100th anniversary of Rerum Novarum, is probably one of the more prominent of the encyclicals dedicated to labor. But he offered reflections on capitalism in the period following the fall of the Soviet Union. And in many ways, he rereads Rerum Novarum on the dignity of workers, therefore the dignity of work itself, the right to private property, fair wages, and just working conditions. Now in 2009, Benedict XVI gave us Caritas in Veritate, and this had many of the themes of his predecessors, but he highlighted the challenges facing the world now of globalization. He insisted that, quote, the promotion of workers' associations that can defend their rights must therefore be honored today more than ever in the past, along with new forms of cooperation at the national and international levels. Now, Pope Francis, he has not dedicated one encyclical or one document just to labor. However, his words on work, on workers' rights, on justice and fairness in the labor market, all of these are reflected in many messages and videos that he's made over the years. In particular, his hallmark 2017 video to the International Labor Organization. However, I must note in Fratelli Tutti, which is his vision of fraternity and social friendship, Francis does see work as one domain for the reestablishment of fraternities. So lots to say on this topic, but as usual, time's up, so back to you.
Joan, thank you so much. That was a beautiful summary of some of the key documents and popes that have written on work, the dignity of work. May you be blessed in the rest of your Labor Day and in your rest. And may we know that the chief work God gives to all of us is to be evangelists, to be missionaries, missionaries of human dignity, of Jesus Christ, who's redeemed us by the cross, and that we're all sent by God to work, to evangelize the world. Let's all do it together. You're an important part of this family. You're never alone. You're always at home with Jim and Joy. Bye now.